This female officer was caught sucking an inmate's finger, while this other one was found kissing an inmate in his cell. In the world of prisons, where law officers keep things in check, a troubling trend is emerging. Female officers are forming intimate relationships with inmates. Yes, you heard that right.
And having intercourse in full view of 11 other inmates is something only a depraved mind could come up with.
From a female cop caught having sex with an inmate in the presence of 11 others to another found in a store cupboard, here are 10 female officers caught being inappropriate with teen inmates. Kawana Jenkins. This Fulton County detention officer was caught in an act that completely destroyed her career. The female officer in the video I just showed you is Officer Kawana Jenkins. Jenkins was once a respected figure among correctional officers. Her journey began with noble intentions, a desire to bring order to a chaotic environment. Jenkins entered the correctional system with passion and a commitment to upholding its rules, earning her peers' respect for her unwavering dedication. Her career soared as she navigated the challenges of her role, from maintaining security to guiding inmate rehabilitation. Jenkins was always there, keeping things in order with head counts and inspections, earning respect from her colleagues for her professional demeanor with inmates. But that was far from the truth, because beneath this facade, Jenkins was anything but professional with an inmate in the facility. And the moment that would reveal all of this started just like any other day at the Fulton County Jail. Correction officers conducted their routine shakedown in the maximum security wing on January 28, 2023. As usual, they uncovered a stash of weapons, contraband, and phones. While going through the phones, as part of their routine, they stumbled upon a video involving one of their own. In the video, 36-year-old Officer Kawana Jenkins could be seen seated in a chair and filmed by an unidentified inmate as his index finger disappeared in her mouth. The aftermath of the discovery was chaotic. An immediate investigation was launched, revealing eye-opening details. The investigation revealed how Jenkins abused her position, arranging secret meetings, manipulating schedules, and even providing the inmate with prohibited items. Jenkins not only engaged in an inappropriate relationship, but also endangered the facility's security protocols. As a result, Jenkins was fired and arrested, facing multiple charges including improper sexual contact, violation of oath, reckless conduct, cruelty to inmates, and providing prohibited items without authorization. The inmate involved in the scandal was also subject to legal repercussions. He received additional charges for his role in the affair, which could result in an extended sentence and a transfer to a higher security facility. The investigation's findings painted a picture of an inmate who had manipulated Jenkins, exploiting her emotionally to gain favors and privileges within the facility. If you found Kawana Jenkins' story shocking, brace yourself for the next female officer on our list. She was caught having sex with an inmate right in front of 11 other inmates. Yes, you heard that right. The female cop I'm talking about is Tina Gonzalez. In 2016, 26-year-old Gonzalez began her job as a correctional officer at the Fresno County Jail. With a seemingly clean record, the young officer had no idea of the storm that lay ahead. The Fresno County Jail, a facility designed to rehabilitate and confine, became the stage for a drama that would shock the community and those within the law enforcement agency. Gonzalez, tasked with the supervision and safety of inmates, was expected to maintain a professional distance, a boundary that she would ultimately cross with profound consequences. As months turned into years, Gonzalez's routine patrols and inmate interactions became part of her daily life. However, beneath the surface of this routine, a forbidden relationship was taking root. It was a relationship that would not only breach the ethical standards of her profession, but also the law itself. The turning point came on a day in May 2019, when the sheriff's office's vice unit received an anonymous tip that would unravel the secret that Gonzalez had been harboring. The tip alleged that a young male inmate, whose identity was kept from the public, had been given a cell phone, a clear violation of jail policy. But the tip went further, suggesting that the cell phone was not just for communication, it was a tool for maintaining an illicit relationship with Gonzalez. Tina Gonzalez had engaged in sexual activity with an inmate under her watch. The evidence was damning. Gonzalez had not only provided the inmate with a cell phone, but had also been complicit in smuggling contraband into the facility, including drugs and alcoholic beverages. But that's not all. The young female officer also provided razors to the the inmate, a potential weapon that could have put the lives of her colleagues and other inmates at risk. As the investigation deepened, it was revealed that Gonzalez had taken steps to facilitate her affair with the young inmate. She even allegedly altered her uniform, creating a hole on her trousers that would allow for easier access during her sexual moments with the inmate. But wait, there is more. During some of the instances, Gonzalez and these young inmates will have sex in full view of other inmates. After the investigation, Gonzalez faced harsh consequences. She was arrested and charged with various offenses indicating betrayal and misconduct. In April 2019, she pleaded no contest to charges including sexual activity with an inmate, possession of drugs or alcohol in jail, and possession of a cell phone intended for an inmate. Following this, Gonzalez went to trial. Ultimately, the judge sentenced her to 2 years of probation and 7 months in county jail. Although the sentence was less than the maximum of 3 years and 8 months requested by the prosecution, the judge believed there was still a chance for Gonzalez to redeem herself. While Tina Gonzalez had sex with an inmate in front of other inmates, the next female cop on this list sent sexual images of herself to a teenage inmate. Jordan Traynor. In June 2018, 25-year-old Jordan Traynor developed a flirtatious relationship with a 17-year-old inmate after she became a prison officer. Before then, Traynor was just another prison officer in the correctional system. Like many, she entered law enforcement driven by a desire to serve and protect. Her journey as a prison officer began in the summer of 2018 at a young offender institution. At first, Traynor seemed calm, but inside, she battled intense emotions because of her personal life. Traynor's personal life was marked by feelings of loneliness and isolation. After moving to Yorkshire to support her husband's career, she felt lost in unfamiliar surroundings. The strain on their marriage grew as her husband became increasingly distant during a 2-week training course, leaving Traynor feeling abandoned. However, the challenges didn't end there. Jordan's London accent became a target of mockery among co-workers, making her feel even more isolated in an environment that relies on teamwork and solidarity. This lack of connection at work, combined with personal struggles, pushed Traynor to cope in harmful ways, such as turning to alcohol. In this vulnerable state, Traynor found an unlikely connection with 2 17-year-old inmates who became her confidants. As their communication increased, Traynor crossed a professional line she shouldn't have. She started sending sexual text messages to the young inmate, breaking ethical standards for a prison officer. The situation got worse when Traynor took bold steps by taking explicit photos of herself, printing them at work, and giving them to the boy. But Traynor's misconduct didn't stop there. She got more involved with the inmates by smuggling in parcels, supposedly at the request of the first boy, to distribute among others. She claimed the parcels looked like phones, but she denied knowing their actual contents. However, the prosecution believed Traynor knew she was smuggling phones, which is a serious offense in prisons. Traynor didn't stop at that one inmate. She also started sending sexual messages and photos to another 17-year-old boy at the institution. Their relationship progressed to the point where the teenage inmate touched the female officer sexually on 3 occasions. Jordan Traynor's secret actions at the young offender institution couldn't stay hidden forever. Everything changed on December 23, 2019, when rumors prompted officials to search the cells of the 2 17-year-old boys Traynor had been involved with. What they found during these searches would spell trouble for Traynor. They found 3 mobile phones, which upon examination revealed the extent of their communication. This discovery had swift consequences for Traynor. Traynor was arrested and was sentenced to 18 months in prison. The next female cop on our list also has an almost similar story to Officer Jordan Traynor, Imari Waller. Just like Officer Jordan Traynor, Officer Imari was a corrections officer at a youth correctional institution. Her job was crucial, overseeing the rehabilitation of young offenders at Adobe Mountain School in Phoenix. At 25, Waller was part of a team shaping these youth's futures, guiding them toward reform and reintegration into society. The school aims to provide a secure environment while offering educational programs, vocational training, and counseling. It's a delicate balance between order and growth, requiring integrity and dedication to the rules set by the Department of Juvenile Corrections. Waller joined the department in January 2019, a fresh face among those caring for these young individuals. Her duties included supervising daily activities, ensuring inmate safety, and providing support for rehabilitation programs. The story changed when another youth corrections officer reported seeing sexually inappropriate Snapchat messages between Waller and an 18-year-old former inmate. This report triggered an investigation. The investigation revealed that Waller had indeed engaged in sexual intercourse with with the former inmate, who, although released to community supervision in November, was still under the department's jurisdiction. A parole search of the young man's room further cemented the case against Waller. Investigators discovered nude photos and videos on his cell phone, which were not only explicit, but also featured identifiable images of both Waller and the former inmate. This tangible evidence left little room for doubt about the nature of their relationship. The investigation then turned to Waller's cell phone, which was examined on the same day. The search revealed multiple sexually explicit pictures and videos that matched those found on the former inmate's phone. With this evidence in hand, Waller was confronted by the investigator. Faced with the undeniable proof, Waller confirmed the sexual relationship with the former inmate. But the case took an even more dramatic turn when it was discovered that Waller had attempted to obstruct the investigation. During an interview, Waller was found to have brought contraband into the facility in the form of an Apple Watch. She used a bathroom break as an opportunity to make a clandestine call to her roommate through the watch. In this call, she instructed her roommate to contact the former inmate and tell him to deny and delete everything, a clear attempt to tamper with physical evidence and influence the testimony of the young man involved. Waller's actions, confirmed by her admission and the investigation's evidence, broke laws for Department of Juvenile Corrections staff. She was arrested and charged with unlawful sexual conduct, smuggling contraband, and tampering with evidence. While Officer Imari Waller was caught through her Snapchat messages with the teenage inmate, the next female officer on our list was caught having sex with an inmate on camera. Shania Begum. Shania Begum started working as a prison officer at HMP Birmingham in December 2018. HMP Birmingham is a facility known for housing some of the country's most challenging inmates. Begum was tasked with the day-to-day responsibilities of overseeing the prisoners, ensuring their safety, and upholding the strict regulations. However, as the months passed, the line between professional conduct and personal involvement began to blur for Begum. Shania Begum, just like every other female cop on this list, became romantically involved with an inmate. This inmate's name is Joshua Mullings. Initially, their relationship started innocently before turning into a secret affair. They found an unexpected spot for their meetings: the store cupboard. The store cupboard was a place designated for storage and organization, but it was often empty. Both Officer Begum and the inmate used this to their advantage. According to court records, in this unlikely setting, Begum and Mullings engaged in various activities like play fighting, flirting, heavy petting, and sex. Their secret meetings were carefully hidden from colleagues and the prison's surveillance systems. However, their actions did not go unnoticed for long. Suspicion arose among the prison authorities, leading to the installation of a hidden camera within the store cupboard. This camera would eventually capture evidence of their sexual activities, providing undeniable proof of misconduct. Between the 22nd and 28th of September 2020, the newly installed camera recorded the interactions between Begum and Mullings. The footage obtained captured them engaging in various sexual activities, including instances where oral sex took place. This evidence was not only a clear violation of professional conduct, but also a serious breach of the law, given Begum's position as a public officer. The legal proceedings against Shania Begum commenced following the discovery of the footage. The case was brought before Birmingham Crown Court, where Begum faced charges of misconduct in a public office, a grave offense that she ultimately admitted to. Officer Shania Begum was then sentenced to 16 months in jail. Next up, Rafaela Martinez. On March 7, 2024, a probation officer was arrested for having an affair with an inmate at the Dorothy Kirby Center in Commerce, a juvenile detention facility in Los Angeles County. In the statement released announcing the arrest, the officer was not named in a statement from the department, but an anonymous law enforcement source confirmed her identity to the LA Times. The officer in question was Officer Rafaela Martinez, a 51-year-old probation officer who worked at the Dorothy Kirby Center for many years. The investigation into Martinez's alleged misconduct began when a cell phone was recovered from a youth in custody at the Dorothy Kirby Center. This device, which should never have been in the facility, contained evidence that was both intimate and incriminating. Texts and photos of a sexual nature were discovered, revealing an inappropriate and illegal relationship between Martinez and the detained youth. The content was not only explicit, but also suggested that some of the communications occurred while Martinez was on duty, blurring the lines between professional conduct and personal indiscretions. lives. The youth's identity is currently being withheld due to his young age, and the officer's identity is being concealed. The arrest of Officer Martinez was swift, following the discovery of the damning evidence. In addition to the charges related to the sexual misconduct, she was also accused of smuggling a cell phone and a prescription medication bottle into the facility. These items, considered contraband in the controlled environment of a jail, further compounded the gravity of her alleged crimes. The case against Martinez had yet to be presented to the LA County District Attorney's Office, but the court of public opinion was already in session. News of her arrest drew immediate and unequivocal condemnation from county leaders. LA County Supervisor Lindsay Horvath described the reported actions as heinous and problematic on every level, insisting that arrest and a swift investigation were the only appropriate responses. This incident was not an isolated one, but rather the latest in a string of scandals that have plagued that particular probation department. A staffing crisis and the closure of several facilities by a state oversight board in recent years have marred the department's reputation. The Dorothy Kirby Center, where the incident involving Martinez took place, was under scrutiny, and Los Padrinos Juvenile Hall in Downey was facing potential closure later in the year. The arrest of Martinez also brought to light at least one other allegation of sexual misconduct against a probation officer being investigated by county officials. Earlier in the year, a youth held claimed that a female officer he met while in custody attempted to initiate a romantic relationship with him after his release in late 2023. Next up, Tori Landmesser. In a shocking revelation that has sent ripples through the Texas Juvenile Justice Department, Tori Renee Landmesser, a 26-year-old juvenile corrections officer, finds herself at the center of a scandalous storm. Hired in March 2019, Landmesser was tasked with the rehabilitation and oversight of young offenders at the McLennan County State Juvenile Corrections Facility. As a juvenile corrections officer, Landmesser's role was pivotal in shaping the lives of young offenders. Her responsibilities included supervising the daily activities of detainees, implementing rehabilitation programs, and maintaining a secure environment for both the staff and the juveniles. The job required a balance of authority and empathy, as officers like Landmesser were often seen as role models and disciplinarians. They were expected to enforce rules, conduct security checks, and report on the behavior and progress of the residents. However, Officer Landmesser didn't stick to the rules. During her tenure, Tori Landmesser met a teenager, and what started as a professional relationship took a turn to become personal, breaching the boundaries of her role as a juvenile corrections officer. The teenager, who was 19 years old at the time, had been released on parole in early February, starting their secret affair. According to the affidavit, Landmesser and the young parolee's relationship turned physical shortly after his release. This hidden connection was uncovered in May when the teenager was arrested by Waco police at Landmesser's home for an out-of-county warrant related to a carjacking incident in Houston. The arrest triggered a series of events that revealed the hidden relationship. Family members, upon discovering the teenager's location and connection with Landmesser, reported their concerns to authorities. At first, Officer Landmesser and the inmate denied any relationship. However, further investigations uncovered recorded phone calls where Landmesser and the teenager openly discussed their love and plans to marry. The revelation of these conversations and Landmesser's admission to having sex with the parolee at her home, knowing he was on parole, highlighted the seriousness of the situation. Following the uncovering of the affair, Landmesser was arrested on charges of violating the civil rights of a person in custody, a state jail felony. The Texas Office of the Inspector General, which filed the charges, underscored the gravity of the offense, given the power, dynamics, and the vulnerability of the teenager involved. Landmesser's arrest occurred on a Wednesday, and she was booked into McLennan County Jail. The bond for her release was set at $5,000, which she posted the following day, securing her release from custody. However, her freedom outside the jail cell did not absolve her from the consequences within her professional sphere. The Texas Juvenile Justice Department took immediate action, suspending Landmesser without pay on May 21st as the investigation into the relationship continued. After the suspension, the young female officer was eventually fired. Caitlin Gomez. The peaceful atmosphere of the Pinellas Regional Juvenile Detention Center was disrupted when the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office uncovered something troubling. One of their own, Sergeant Caitlin Gomez, a 27-year-old officer, was caught in a scandal that would tarnish the county's reputation. It all began when about 10 letters, filled with inappropriate content, were found hidden in the bed of a 16-year-old inmate. These were not ordinary letters. They were filled with explicit descriptions and promises of a sexual nature, detailing what Sergeant Gomez envisioned envisioned for their first encounter. The letters painted a vivid picture of an ongoing relationship that had been nurtured within the confines of the detention center, a place where Gomez was supposed to maintain order and ensure the safety of those in her charge. The Pinellas County Sheriff's Office responded with the full force of their investigative team, descending upon the detention center located on 140th Avenue North in Clearwater. Their investigation was meticulous and thorough, leaving no stone unturned as they sought to understand the extent of Gomez's misconduct. As the investigation unfolded, it became clear that the letters were indeed written by Gomez. But hold on, the letters were not all they found during the investigation. They also found a photo of Gomez in the inmate's cell, which served to corroborate the evidence found in the letters. It was a tangible piece of proof that Gomez had allowed her relationship with the inmate to cross professional boundaries. The photo, coupled with the letters, painted a damning picture of a sergeant who had lost sight of her responsibilities. Gomez's employment details shed light on the situation. She had become a sergeant on January 5th and was assigned to the teens pod just 3 weeks before the scandal emerged. Despite being instructed not to be alone with the juveniles, staff members witnessed her in one-on-one situations with the 16-year-old multiple times. When presented with the evidence, Gomez did not deny her actions. She admitted to writing the letters and confessed that her relationship with the teen started when they met at the facility. Beyond the letters, she shared her fantasies about a sexual relationship with the teen and her desire to build a future with him after his release from the detention center. The Pinellas County Sheriff's Office did not take the matter lightly. Gomez was arrested on one count of solicitation of a child to engage in an act that constitutes sexual battery by a person in familial or custodial authority. Next up, Gemma Cowperthwaite. Gemma Cowperthwaite's life was once defined by her role as a custodian of the law. As a prison guard at the Sinclair County Sheriff's Office, she was known for her dedication and professionalism. Her colleagues described her as a model officer, someone who upheld the principles of the justice system with unwavering commitment. Gemma's career in corrections began with the promise of making a difference, of maintaining order within the chaos that can thrive behind prison walls. So how did it all go so terribly wrong? Well, Gemma met a young inmate whose charm and cunning would ultimately lead to her downfall. It started with a seemingly innocent interaction, a moment of human connection that would have gone unnoticed if not for the events that followed. The inmate, a young woman with a history of fraud, managed to catch Gemma's attention, sparking an interest that breached the professional boundaries Gemma had been trained to uphold. As time passed, the interactions between Gemma and the inmate grew more frequent and intimate. What began as a casual conversation soon turned into a clandestine exchange of personal information. The inmate was granted a daily work pass, a privilege that allowed her some freedom outside the confines of her cell. Seizing the opportunity, she asked Gemma if they could continue their conversations outside the facility once she was released. Gemma, against her better judgment, agreed and took the fateful step of sharing her personal phone number. The communication between them intensified, and before long, Gemma found herself entangled in a web of secrecy and forbidden emotions. She began to do favors for the inmate, driven by a misguided sense of kindness and connection. Gemma drove her to work, allowed her to use her house to shower during lunch breaks, and responded to her requests for help. Each act of kindness further eroded the professional barrier that should have existed between them. As the affair escalated, so did the risks. Gemma was well aware that she was breaching the code of conduct, yet she continued down the perilous path. The relationship, which had started with a simple conversation, had now evolved into something much more complex and dangerous. Gemma Cowperthwaite's affair had devastating consequences. She faced serious charges for sexually assaulting the inmate she had the affair with, betraying trust, and abusing her power. The trial exposed the details of the affair, with overwhelming evidence including DNA linking her to the inmate. Faced with a potentially lengthy sentence, Gemma accepted a plea deal, resulting in a 10-month prison term. The aftermath left her life shattered, branded as a sex offender with a tarnished reputation. She realized the bond she thought she had with the inmate was a manipulation for favors, not love. Last but not least on our list is Charlene Diane O'Banion. At the Conroe Montgomery County Jail, a scandal unfolded that would shock the community. Charlene Diane O'Banion, with a career dedicated to maintaining order and enforcing the law, served as a deputy at the Montgomery County Jail, a facility known for its strict adherence to rules and regulations. Her role was pivotal in the daily operations of the jail, overseeing the safety and security of those within its walls. But behind O'Banion's professional professional facade lay a hidden reality, much like the other female officers on this list. As a jail deputy, O'Banion had access to all areas of the facility, knowledge of security protocols, and interactions with inmates, a position that required unwavering ethical standards. Yet, it was within this environment of control and surveillance that O'Banion's path would take an unexpected and dramatic turn. Charlene was using her position to have sex with an inmate named Jacob Parker. The secret relationship between Charlene Diane O'Banion and Jacob Parker came to light in a manner as unexpected as the affair itself. Investigators stumbled upon compelling evidence in the form of recorded phone calls. These calls, routinely monitored and documented in correctional facilities, unveiled a pattern of communication that was intimate and frequent between Officer Charlene and Jacob. Investigators then called Officer Charlene in for questioning. Initially, Charlene denied any involvement with the inmate. However, when confronted with the recordings of their conversations, her denial quickly crumbled. In this call, O'Banion and Parker discussed past sexual encounters in explicit detail. This contradicted O'Banion's claims and highlighted the potential misuse of her authority. The authorities were promptly alerted, and what followed was an investigation that peeled back the layers of secrecy. During interrogation, O'Banion confessed to having oral sex with Parker in an area that was out of sight in the jail. This affair between Charlene Diane O'Banion and Jacob Parker not only breached ethical standards, but also violated the law, which strictly prohibits sexual relations between jail staff and inmates. This zero-tolerance policy is rooted in the power dynamics of correctional facilities, where consent is legally compromised by the inherent authority held by staff over inmates. The gravity of O'Banion's actions was reflected in the legal repercussions that followed her confession. After admitting to the sexual encounter, O'Banion faced the consequences of her indiscretion. She was sentenced to 100 days behind bars, a stark reversal of roles that underscored the severity of her misconduct. The outcome of the case served as a somber reminder of the importance of maintaining professional boundaries and the harsh reality that those who are entrusted with upholding the law are not exempt from its reach. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, click on one of the boxes playing on your screen to watch more similar content.